Welcome to the snapshot of Girl, Stop Apologizing, a shame-free plan for embracing and achieving your goals by Rachel Hollis. Here we'll explore the key insights from Girl, Stop Apologizing. Introduction. Too many women apologize for who they are and what they want out of their lives. Too many women live in fear of their own goals. They ask, "What if I?" while never working toward the end of the sentence. It's time to ask how much of your life you've chosen for yourself and how much of your life has been spent doing things that you were expected to do. You were made to do more. To get started, you need to work on 3 areas of your mindset. 1. Excuses to let go of. Root out the excuses and counterproductive beliefs that have been holding you back. 2. Behaviors to adopt. After weeding out unhelpful beliefs, start manifesting your goals and your goal-oriented mindset. 3. Skills to acquire. Systematically work toward your goals by building your confidence, persistence, leadership, planning skills, and more. Excuses to let go of. The first commonly offered excuse for not pursuing one's goals is that this is not what good women do. By her mid-20s, author Rachel Hollis had found her calling on social media, had her own office and staff, and was working 60 hours a week and loving it. But she was also downplaying her accomplishments, worried about what others would think of her. Keeping it all a secret indicated that to her, her blog and her accomplishments were something to be ashamed of. So when anyone said anything negative about her, she didn't question it. She didn't want anyone to be inconvenienced by the things that made her happy. If this sounds like you might be living half a full life, just because the people around you don't appreciate it, understand, or support the things that make you thrive. You might be downplaying your success by dressing, acting, or speaking in ways that other people expect you to, because that's what good women do. But being a good woman often means being good to other people, but not to yourself. This mindset will lead you to let other people determine your worth, but you don't need other people's positive opinions. You're entitled to be yourself. Another popular excuse is that you're not a goal-oriented person. Don't think of this as an inborn trait that you can't change. It's likelier that you're just not goal-oriented yet. Everyone has a dream, and a goal is just a dream you're actively working on. So get working on it. You can't have a dream and passively hope for it to come true. By working on your dream, becoming goal-oriented, in other words, you're going to spur tremendous personal growth. The third excuse for not working on your goals is that you don't have time, but you control your schedule, and you should therefore evaluate how you're using your time. Take Chelsea, for instance. She wanted to write a book, but she put it off for 5 full years because she was finishing school, working, getting married, and having a baby. But then something magical happened. She got bored with looking at her phone all the time and decided to start leaving it on her nightstand. All of a sudden, she found herself getting antsy without it and wondering what to do with her time. Finally, it occurred to her. If she spent less time looking at her phone, she could reserve at least 5 hours a week for working on her book. If you want to take control of your time, make a timeline of your week as it stands. Account for every single hour. Like Chelsea, figure out where you have 5 hours in your week that you could dedicate to your goal. Make sure you schedule those hours for the time of day when you're most productive and treat them as untouchable. They're the avenue to your success. Yet another excuse for not pursuing your goals is that you're not good enough. Of course, the very thing you're attempting to do will prove this excuse wrong. If you say you're not athletic enough to swim 3 miles without stopping, and you never even try as a result, then you'll never be athletic enough to swim 3 miles without stopping. If you try and you succeed, suddenly you'll be athletic enough. People fall into this excuse as they age, because as you get older, you become less tolerant of failure, not to mention the fact that other people become less tolerant of your failures too. To combat this fear of failure, first acknowledge the ways that you have succeeded and achieved in your life. Then focus on the advantages of not knowing how to do the things you want to do. Being a newbie makes you flexible and teachable, for example. A fifth excuse is that you can't pursue your goal and still be a good mom, wife, daughter, employee, girlfriend, or whatever role it is that you want to fulfill for someone else. Most people who make this excuse won't do anything if it comes at the cost of anyone else's happiness, and they'll gladly put other people's dreams ahead of their own happiness. But always remember, you get one life. Are you really going to live it strictly for other people? It's true that if you're pursuing your own goals, you're going to have to make sacrifices in other areas of your life, but that doesn't mean you're not going to return to them later. Work-life balance is a myth. Work and life operate more like a seesaw, and just because you're pursuing your goals doesn't mean that you can't show up for the people you love. You'll probably just do it differently from how you used to. The sixth excuse for not pursuing your goals is that you're terrified of failure. Girl, get failing. It's part of life. Think about Rachel, who grew up with a dad who was kind of handy. Her family moved into an old house when she was very young, and over the course of 20 years, her parents undertook a lot of renovations, some of which her dad decided to take on himself. On weekend mornings, Rachel would watch her dad tinker, ponder, and try to solve problems. He often failed. Some of his failures were hilarious and made Rachel think he was an accident magnet, but he always tried. And in the end, one way or another, he found a solution. In the process, he learned a lot for himself, and he also showed Rachel that failure isn't that big a deal as long as you keep trying. So, fail. Fail often and fail hard. If you're afraid of what others will think of your failure, imagine what they can learn by watching you fail and get back up again. The 7th excuse is that your goal has been accomplished before. Well, of course it's been done before, but it hasn't been done by you. Instead of comparing your starting point to someone else's success, start seeing other people's successes as a sign that you can do more. In other words, instead of saying, "No, Lucy over there has already done it, I shouldn't do it too," start asking yourself, "Well, if Lucy's done it, why can't I?" The next excuse for not pursuing your goals is that you're afraid of other people judging you. In reality, judgmental people are going to judge you whether you pursue your goals or not. That being the case, you might as well start doing the things that fulfill you and make you happy. You can't be accountable to other people by fearing their judgment. If your family and friends have something to say about your goals and how you're achieving them, you owe it to them to hear them out, but not to live the way they think you should. Don't let other people talk you out of trying to reach your goals. The final and most pernicious excuse is that upstanding women don't hustle. While men are applauded for wanting power and wealth, women who value those things are frowned upon. Don't downplay your God-given talents because you're a woman. If other people disapprove of your choices as a woman, it's not their business to do so, nor is it your business to care. Behaviors to adopt. Changing your behavior is the next step after letting go of your excuses. First, you'll want to stop asking for permission. Most women grew up with a man as the voice of authority in the family. If that man had your best interests at heart and didn't treat you any differently than he did the males in the family, that's fine. But most women weren't so lucky. Donna wanted to learn to play guitar when she was young, specifically metal guitar. She wanted to shred, but the guys in the rock bands in her town told her that girls couldn't shred, that women's hands were too small and too slow. Donna was discouraged and decided unhappily to focus on singing, until she discovered famed shredder Lita Ford. She decided to stop looking for the guy's permission and finally came into her own. She got a smaller guitar and a teacher who didn't discourage, but found solutions for Donna instead. Some women have a big, long list of dreams they could pursue, but they put more effort into the list building than they do into actually accomplishing items on the list. Personal growth doesn't work this way. You can't work on a little bit of this and that all at once and expect to achieve any of the items on your list. Instead, try the 10-10-1 method. First, write down everything you want out of your life in the next 10 years. Get rabidly specific about it. Think as big as you possibly can. Next, write down 10 dreams that would make that future a reality. Finally, choose the one goal that will get you to your desired self the fastest and pursue it with everything you've got. You'll find that as you work toward that one goal, everything else on your list will get easier at the same time. The next behavior to adopt is to start asking for help. Famously successful women like to pretend that they do everything themselves, running business empires while also raising their kids full-time, practicing excellent self-care, taking care of their homes, and being great wives. This is wildly unrealistic and untrue to boot. Every single famous successful person you can think of hires help and gets help from their families. Think about it this way. For centuries, men have been able to get to the top of their fields by leaving housework and child-rearing to their wives. If men were expected to do it all, women would be the titans of industry instead. Rather than trying to manage everything for yourself, find whatever help you can get and stop spending your time on activities you hate. You don't have to do penance for pursuing your goals. The next behavior is to set yourself up for success. To pursue your goals, your day-to-day life needs to provide you with a solid foundation that lifts you up and gives you something to build upon. The best first steps are to get yourself healthy, keep your personal space in order, build a community that supports you, develop good work habits, and establish a morning routine that gets you in the right headspace for good work. Next, stop letting people talk you out of pursuing your goals. Insecure people will try to drag you down to feel better about their own insecurity. Misery loves company. Don't let them do it. Dig in and stand strong against pushback. Other people don't get to comment on the things you're doing because they're not the ones doing it. Hannah, for example, had to stand up to her husband when they were talking about their life goals. He said he wanted a big, expensive house in the middle of a city, but that was the opposite of what Hannah wanted. When she told him that one of her 10-year goals was to own a big piece of forested land with a small house on the property, he said it was a useless goal. Hannah responded by saying that it was her dream and he didn't get to judge it. This shocked him out of his bad attitude and made him consider how they could make both of their dreams happen together. The final behavior to adopt is to say no. Not maybe when you mean no, not no with excuses attached, just plain old no. Be polite but honest and be firm about your answer. Live in line with your priorities, and the people who love and value you will understand why you have to say no sometimes. Skills to acquire. The next step toward meeting your goals is to develop some skills. Note that each of these can be acquired through practice. You don't need innate talent for them. First, you need to develop a skill for planning. To achieve your goal, you're going to need a roadmap, laying out how you're going to get to success. Your first step is to start with the finish line, which should be a very specific, quantifiable, and well-articulated goal. Next, figure out where you're starting from. This includes whatever resources you have right now to help you get to your goal, as well as the resources you lack. Then establish guideposts for your goal. Brainstorm every single step on the way to your goal, write them down, and decide which steps are absolutely necessary to get you to your goal. Finally, break your path down into mile markers, or small quantifiable steps that are absolutely necessary for you to get from guidepost to guidepost. Looking at your entire roadmap can be terrifying. That's what the mile markers are for. They'll show you the incremental steps you need to take next. Once you have your roadmap, go all in. Take action immediately, and do not stay down when you fail. You'll need to acquire confidence. And yes, confidence is a skill that you can practice. There are several surefire ways to improve your confidence. First, you can cultivate your appearance to make yourself feel confident. Shallow? Nope. Looking good, however you define good, makes you feel more accountable to yourself. Lizzie, for instance, always idolized her cool punk rock cousin Jackie when she was a kid. To make herself feel more confident as a teenager, she got a few facial piercings and jewelry. That threw some people off at work at her adult jobs, but it also announced that she was different and comfortable with herself. The second approach to confidence is to back up your feelings with action. Choosing to act confidently, even when you're not inclined to, will make you feel confident. Finally, consider the people you hang out with. If you surround yourself with confident people, you'll undoubtedly mimic their behaviors. Another skill to acquire as you work on your goals is persistence. As you work your way along your roadmap, make sure you have dates attached to the mile markers that are immediately in front of you. Your guideposts should also have some flexibility because you're going to fail along the way. You have to be able to pick yourself back up and start working again. Don't treat your goal as if it's temporary and let go of it at the first sign of failure. Your goal isn't just a thing you do, it's who you are. Your progress toward it is training, and that training will never end, because once you achieve one goal, you're going to choose your next. This means that you're going to have to be persistent. The fourth skill to acquire is effectiveness. If you set goals but find yourself never really moving toward them, it's probably because you're not using your time effectively. There are a few tools that can help you. First, use a results list rather than a to-do list. To-do lists make it easy for you to write down every single little thing you need to do in a day and make yourself feel better by checking off the items that are easiest to accomplish. A results list, on the other hand, holds you accountable to the results you want to achieve by the end of the day. Second, figure out the most efficient ways to reach your mile markers. Is there something that, if completed, would make other steps unnecessary? Next, take on a productive mindset. You don't need a writing room or a special space to work in, but you might need some tools to help you concentrate, like white noise, chewing gum. Whatever aids encourage your productivity. Finally, know and avoid your distractions. Another skill to acquire is positivity. For instance, when Vanessa took a transfer at her job, she didn't know how much she was going to hate her new day-to-day tasks. She spent a week or so slogging through work before the prospect of showing up made her feel like death. But she liked her company and didn't want to quit, so she made a conscious decision to find the positive. She asked her new manager why her day-to-day tasks were necessary so that she could both learn more about them and find more efficient ways to do her job. She looked for a positive learning experience and found it. The last skill to acquire is lead her ship. You probably already have leadership skills. Were you the kid who brokered Magic the Gathering card trades in your elementary school? On your rowing team, did you organize and clean all the rowing shoes? Whatever form it took, there's no doubt that you've been a leader before, and it's important for you to embrace your leadership because other women need to see it. Conclusion. You were made to be more than you've been allowing yourself to be. It's time to change your mindset and start working toward the goals you've been putting off. Along the way, remember to embrace these 3 aspects of change. 1. Excuses to let go of. Root out the excuses and counterproductive beliefs that have been holding you back. 2. Behaviors to adopt. After weeding out unhelpful beliefs, start acting on your goals and your goal-oriented mindset. 3. Skills to acquire. Systematically work toward your goals by building your confidence, persistence, leadership, planning skills, and more. About Rachel Hollis. Rachel Hollis is an author, motivational speaker, and blogger. Her best-selling book, Girl, Wash Your Face, was the second most popular book of 2018 on Amazon. Thank you for listening to the snapshot of Girl, Stop Apologizing by Rachel Hollis. If you liked what you heard, then make sure to explore the rest of our snapshot library to continue gaining key insights from nonfiction books in a matter of minutes.
Thank you for listening to our quick learning audiobook review series. If you liked what you heard, then check out our channel for more free audiobook reviews. We post new audiobooks every week. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell to be first to hear of our latest reviews.